Welcome back, Wastelanders. It's Young Sips, and here I am again, and I'm going to be doing a deep dive into my Gunrunner Factory build that I built in Hangman's Alley. So if you haven't seen that video, I would suggest looking that up on my channel first. It should be right near the top, Gunrunner Factory. So, yeah, there's a lot that I need to go over with it, because I say this every time I do a new video or anything, that this is my most challenging build. This was my most challenging build. And I'm going to be going into why in just a second. I'll also have my mods that I used for it posted at the end of the video, so if you want to check those out too, stay tuned and I'll put those at the end for you guys. So with that, let me get along to a couple things that I would try to keep in mind just for building in Hangman's Alley in general. So let's get to it. Hangman's Alley has a lot of challenges that you really need to deal with that are kind of unique to other settlements. So with that in mind, you need to keep a really good idea on your build limit, how much you're going over, stuff like that. Because since Hangman's Alley is the only place that's actually in Boston, like downtown proper, it already has some issues with like frame rate at times and just like stability and crashing and stuff, because there's so many buildings and other things around here. So with that we want to make sure that you scrap everything that you're not going to use, that is not essential to what you're trying to build here. You need to get rid of it. So as you can see, it's pretty clean out front and for the most part around the whole neighborhood around this place, because we're basically with this going to be creating an interior, what would normally be an interior that you'd have to interact with a door and go in because it's so detailed. But since you can't really do that with settlements and stuff in this, we're basically adding an entire interior room cell to the overworld of Fallout 4. So it can have a lot of crashes and a lot of weird glitches happen if you're not careful and not managing your sides, your sides of stuff. Motherfucker. Another thing that can help you manage and improve stability is to delete entire buildings. Now this can be kind of hard to cover up in some areas, so look for certain areas where you can make little places that aren't as resource heavy as like a whole building. So what I did was, this was a building coming out to probably about here with steps, and so I just deleted that, added in a couple signs and this wood floor and this little basketball hoop, and now we got a little neighborhood basketball place. So yeah, do stuff like that, get rid of all the trash, all the junk, anything that you're not going to be using, and try and repurpose stuff. So this next tip goes hand in hand with scrapping everything. As I mentioned earlier, build limit is going to be at a premium right now since we're in Hangman's Alley. So there's ways of adding cool details to your interiors of your buildings and stuff, and that's by going out and about to grab stuff like this. Like, there's all kinds of different cool things, like pipes and conduit boxes and like electrical pads, stuff like that, fans that are all around all the buildings in Hangman's Alley and the surrounding neighborhood. So you can add them to there, and it's not as bad for your frame. Well, it's still kind of a little bit bad for your frame rate, but it doesn't mess with stability and crashing so much because it's stuff that is already accounted for in the pretty immediate area. So you're not creating anything new, you're just taking something that's already there and moving it to here. So that makes you be able to add cool details to stuff without adding to your build size and adding all the complications that can come with having really, really excessively big stuff, maxing out your size meter. So to grab some of these things from around the neighborhood, you're going to need to have multiple workbenches. So there is the normal one, which is your normal build area for Hangman's Alley. Then I have the Workbench Anywhere mod. So with that, you can have different workbenches that are disguised as different items, or you can even make them invisible. I disguise this one as a flag, and so I can interact with a normal workbench, and it creates a buildable area outside of where you would normally be able to build. And that can set up some interesting combinations, because now you have this build area that also overlaps with the normal build area, and we'll get into that later. But this whole settlement is stitched together through 3 different workbenches. There is that one there, the normal one, the flag one, and then further down the street, kind of where near that basketball area was I showed you on one of those roofs nearby, there's another one there. Which allowed me to pull a lot of different cool stuff from around that neighborhood and bring it back over into here. And with that, I'm going to move along to my third and final tip for this. So yeah, my final tip for you guys is pretty self-explanatory. With what we're doing here today, you're really going to be pushing what your console and the game is going to be able to actually run effectively without tons of crashes. So save early, save often, do hard saves, do quick saves, do auto saves, just have a variety of backups, because I had to actually delete all of my all the files for the game, all the DLCs, and re-download everything completely at one point when I was making this, because it crashed so bad and so often that my frame rate, not just here but in the entire game world, even in the menu, in characters that don't even have this on it, was completely destroyed. And I would hit my stick and it'd be like, not exaggerating, and that's me holding continuously down on my thumbstick like this. It would just completely unplayable. So I'd delete all those and revert back to a save and redo some stuff. But yeah, all other weird stuff that happened that I've never seen in any other thing, like part of the skybox just disappeared, and like it looked like in the inside of the developer room, if you've ever seen that, with like the weird effect, like after image it provides, but only in one spot in the middle of the sky. Other things like all my lights turned orange for some reason, and I've gotten it mostly to a stable-ish, and I say stable-ish, and we'll get along to that in just a second. I've gotten it to a stable-ish point to where none of that's happening, and I can pretty much run the game. So let's get along to the actual build itself now. So if you've seen my original video, it has me running from the ghouls, and then I come through here and trigger these explosives here. So I'm going to set them off, and then I'm going to show you guys how it works and everything like that. So Pretty nifty, eh? Shoot, they blew those up too. Yeah, so let me show you guys how this thing works and what's actually happening and everything. So, just bottle cap mines loaded into pitching turrets here. The one at the end is actually a nuke mine. But it is all triggered from behind the safety of this blast barrier in this car. And all of it happens whenever this pressure plate gets stepped on. So the lights light up, the pitching machines turn on, and the speakers start to do their little explosives. This is all achieved. Let me get these out of the way because these hurt your frame rate if you have a bunch of mines go off at once. So, yes. It's a little bit of a complicated wiring setup, so let me show you guys how it's done. So, when I first originally did this, it worked fine because I tested it with normal just lunch boxes because I thought those would be the same basic weight as a bottle cap mine, but they're not. The bottle cap mines are way heavier and they can't shoot as far as the pitching machines. So I kept blowing up my power supply over here with my mines and everything, and whenever that happened, it would shut off the power running from here and it would knock out my lights. So I didn't like that. So basically all of these, they get blown up every time that the explosives go off, but they're not actually powering the setup anymore. They're just kind of dummy generators. They're there for looks and stuff. What actually is providing power for everything is kind of hiding right in plain sight, and it's this switch over here. It's not actually a switch, but actually a fuse box that's added with the craftable fuse box mod. But a highly useful mod because it allows you to have power supplies that can't be destroyed, and you can put a lot of power output from them. So that has about 100, I think, going through it. You can also get like 500. So it makes wiring and doing wiring in compact places a lot easier. So how this thing is wired up, we have this switched power pylon, which is just for show as well, but it is going from here down to our powered fuse box, and then it is going to be going down along to here. Down there goes from along the wall to here, and so that is my power supply for over here. It's how these turn on whenever the switch gets hit, and so that is connected to our pitching machine in a circuit, which is connected to our other pitching machine, which is connected to delayed on switches and an interval switch, so it'll keep going boom 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 boom, and it gives a little funny effect, like it sounds like bombs are still going off even after you've run out of explosives. So those are set up with a terminal to decide like the timing and stuff, because I didn't want it to be just one. I didn't want the speakers to be playing on the same time. That way you get like a staggered effect to the sound. So you can affect those and change those with terminals. All of this you can change with terminals, basically. But yeah, you have, in summation, your power supply going along down here to our pressure plate, and then whenever this gets stepped on, it triggers that power flow to our pitching machines in a circuit down along the line to all these things. That way they all go off whenever you step right here. As you can see, again, a lot more open space than what it normally is. That's to conserve build space and improve frame rate and prevent crashes and everything. So I want to get along to one of the coolest reasons about Hangman's Alley, and one of the more unique things about it for most settlements. And while I'm talking, you guys will be able to see that this is how long it takes me to get into build mode, because I have so many mods that add so many items and everything into it. It creates a little bit of a delay on getting into the build. No, it has not crashed, I don't think, at least. Yep, there we go. So I try to stay in my build mode as much as possible while I'm building. So, one of the coolest reasons to build in Hangman's Alley is for the walls themselves. That and the location. Because some places out here, like this building in particular, or over here, they are just simple wall textures. There's nothing behind any of these buildings because there's normally no way to access them without mods. But with mods like Scrap That Settlement and Scrap That Commonwealth, they let you scrap and destroy almost everything in any buildable area. That's debris, that's walls, that's stuff you normally wouldn't be able to get rid of. So, if these are just wall textures, there's actually a lot of space behind here. And as you can see, whenever I first made this, all of this room was just open back here, and there was nothing in here. But that allowed me to be able to get really creative with how we're building things in here, because it allows you to build interiors for rooms and not need to have a game plan for what the outside is going to look at. So you can make really cool areas, but you don't need to worry about it looking dumb on the outside, because they will all be hidden perfectly right behind all of our walls here. See? And that really allows us to create the illusion of perfectly hidden buildings, because all the work is already done for us. Even back here there's one too. You could, well, that one I don't know if you'd be able to, just because if you did it up here, yeah, you could, because there's no way to get rid of, I don't think there's any way to get rid of that texture there, so it would look really weird. But if you build something like an entranceway up here, that would work. Or like for my arms plant and factory here, you can use this building pretty darn well, because right here is our entrance, as you guys can see, and we'll get to that in just a second. But it started off, whenever I first had a Hangman's Alley, it was an identical wall to this one right here behind this weapons workbench. Just a little plywood, a little concrete going around it, nothing really too much to it. But I found that if I was able to delete that, I had an easy entranceway into this completely blank space that we got in here. So with that, it allows you to get really creative with your entranceway. So this was added with the, I believe it's Secret Doors mod, but you guys can look it up at the end. Secret Doors, Hidden Doors, something like that. And it actually moves. It moves when you interact with it. And I kind of want it to be funny, like, as you open it, it just, like, doorways keep opening. Like, this slides, this raises, this door opens normally. And you kind of got you get the first hint of propaganda that's in this place. Let me call the elevator for you guys, and we will get into the meat and bones of the build, the actual arms plant itself. Alright, so we are on the main entrance floor to my weapons plant, also known as Boss Tool Corporation. So, let me get into some of the lore behind this place. I wanted it to be kind of a very overtly nationalistic, patriotic sort of place. It was originally just like a simple machine shop making tools, stuff like that. But then after the invasion of Anchorage, it was kind of taken over by the American government, and it became a weapons plant and build other things for the troops like ration kits, stuff like that. So there's all kinds of signs and stuff around the place detailing this place's history.
Keep your eyes open. You're not alone down here.
Better dead than red. But these guys had a family too. They were humans.
This place is still largely snappy.
So here is the main entrance for the place. And I wanted to decorate it with all these kind of signs and stuff.
Around here.
That way there's no doubt in your mind what was going on here, really. I can actually go up and show you how all the machinery works and everything, because this is a functioning weapons plant. It does legit work most of the time. And let me get to that right now. So, as I mentioned earlier, scrap, all that is in service to this right here, right now, because it puts a lot of strain on the system whenever all of these conveyor belts and machinery and stuff are running. So this might crash it. It sometimes does that. So let's see.
Never know who or what might pop out around the corner.
Alright, no, we're good. No, we're good. So let me show you guys how this place works. So these are weapon forges. All the junk and stuff needed to make stuff is in there. We have a weapon forge, and we have a builder, all calibrated through this terminal, and that lets you set the recipe of what you make. So if it has that junk in there, and it's powered, like it is through this fuse box here, it will continually make stuff until it's out. So they go along down this conveyor belt here, into our hopper, where they're spit out here. And then they get transported down into our basement here. McCready is usually taking shipment counts right here. I don't know why he's up there right now. Weird. But yeah, here is where I fine-tune and work on all my guns and stuff. And all of these do work, so these do armor, ammunition, weapon crafting, all that stuff. And here is actually where I made a little thing where it looks like I'm building my bombs that I have outside that I showed you guys earlier. And this, it's not functional by any means, but this is the canon way of how the plant is all powered and everything. It's a generator, big mass fusion one, and it mostly works. This little static shock stuff is through custom vanilla assets, or CVA, which you can find on PS4. It adds a ton of almost everything you can build into the game. Like, I think even this debris and stuff was added by CVA. Yeah, a lot of stuff for detailing. It's a little bit of a chore to deal with, but it can add a lot of really cool stuff you can't get normally. So here is my little patio exit ramp / loading dock kind of thing. That is actually a light turret that you can build, and I just stuck it into a Metro Man statue that you can build and unlock settlement objects. Pretty cool. Looks like you're always under the watchful eye of the U.S. government, which is what I wanted to go for. Want to report them commies, you see them. And this is actually a really cool little set piece I made. So this is a functional shower. It opens, lights up, and whenever you step into it, the pressure pad, I don't know why it closes the door. I don't know if all Pulaskis do that whenever you enter them, but I have a pressure pad linked up to a decontamination archway that I use to place anywhere to put inside, so whenever I step on it, door closes and I can have a nice shower in peace. Pretty cool. Yeah, so everything from here back is all hidden behind our main building in Hangman's Alley, and then out here was the only part that I had to add on to, so I just added that little roof and all these walls coming down, but it looks pretty seamless, and it looks like it fits with kind of what was already here. Normally this would just be an open alleyway, but I closed it off. That way I could have this extra building area.
Gotta be honest with you. I feel more confident on the ceiling above.
And let me go upstairs again so I can turn all of these off. Oh, that's better, not so loud. What the heck? That's interesting. Codsworth's texture is gone in some areas. Huh. Haven't seen that happen yet. I bet if I just let me see if I can load again and get rid of that. That's odd. And Codsworth is normal again. That was really weird. Haven't had that one happen yet. Control center, if you will. Kind of reinforcing the American spying on Americans vibe of this place, and down with the commies. But yeah, these are all those things I was talking about. I've taken from different buildings around these two from around the area, and they look pretty freaking neat in this setting, I think. And so normally, if you were to build in here, you wouldn't be able to direct your NPCs or even assign them anything, because they'll just say, oh, can't reach it, can't reach it, can't reach it, because there's no pathfinding, because this is normally inside of a building right now. So a quick way to fix that is Unlocked Settlement Objects mod. It has a placeable nav mesh repair, so I just placed a bunch of those. They're invisible, and I use place anywhere to put them down in the floor a little bit so I'm not walking right on top of them. But place those down from a path in here, starting here where I build my robots in my prototyping room, all the way down to an invisible rug that I have him assigned to as a guard post. So let me just take a little quick panel around, show you guys. Prototype room.
This place is still largely standing.
This is honestly maybe my favorite room in the whole place. I like how cluttered it is, and I could really see like my character doing a lot of stuff in here. And it makes my robots, so that's pretty neat. So that is the whole factory, and with that, let's get out to the roof. So normally you wouldn't be able to build up here, but with that workbench everywhere that I showed you guys earlier that's disguised as a flag somewhere over there it allows you to build on the roof. And so this was put into place by just repurposing one of the walls here, like this, that is just another texture, moving it out of the way, putting a vault door in, and yup and easy. You got a pretty cool and easy to implement exit way. But this might be this is my favorite part of the whole build up here. So I wanted to have this be a viable survival outpost, because I think I might do a survival run with this guy, now that I have a really cool base set up. I wanted to have food and stuff be able to get grown here and everything. So I kind of envisioned this as like, this used to be a like victory garden back in the day, and this is kind of like a break area out here and such. But it is actually fully functional. And that took a little bit of sneaky thinking on my part to make that actually happen. I think it looks really cool in the mornings. Sun shining through. Yeah, so all these vegetables they do grow up here, but as you recall, I stated that the only way I could build up here was by using the workbench that I built right there. And so that's essentially, whenever I'm outside of the bounds of the normal Hangman's Alley build area, I'm able to cross between the build area here into the overlapping build area that I've created once I put this workbench down. So I ran into a little bit of an issue that whenever I placed these, I couldn't get anything to grow up here because I couldn't get any settlers assigned here, because you can't send settlers to your workbench anywheres or anything. It lets you build stuff, but you can't assign people to it because you need like a marker or something like that. So if there's no one to assign to it, then no one can tend to it, so it won't grow. Therefore, we won't be able to pick it, which we don't want.
Seems to be growing well.
So the solution is that whenever I build these planters, I go ahead and build them when I'm inside the normal build area of like vanilla Hangman's Alley. So I place the planters there, I then assigned these two robots to them all, and then what I did that I thought was pretty sneaky and a pretty good workaround was I then went outside the bounds of the normal Hangman's area, and then I went back after they had already been assigned here, and then I took them and was able to place them up into my greenhouse so that something is technically assigned to it, even though they never can reach up here, because that was the other issue, was I couldn't, even with the nav mesh repair, nothing would navigate up here like or anything, and they wouldn't work on any of this stuff, so still nothing would grow. But yeah, that is the workaround for it. You create your planters that you want your food to grow out of in your build area, then you move outside of the build area to the other place that we've created with our workbench anywhere. Then you go back inside to it while still in this workbench. You go back inside your normal build area where you assigned the planter, and then you're able to take it and you can move it up here, and they will still stay assigned to it. They won't move from that spot. Once they're assigned and you move it, they'll stay right there. And then you can move it up here, and you can grow your food up here, and you don't even need anyone up here to tend to it, because they're tending to it technically in the old settlement, even though we're in the other settlement, if that makes any sense. Moving along nicely, we have my humble abode that is actually converted construction equipment and things, because my lore in my head was that they had planned to expand onto the building. That's why the crane and all this construction stuff is up here and everything. But the bombs fell and that never happened. So I was able to fashion this into my chemistry station work area where I make chems, because I'm a drug dealer and an arms dealer, baby. You know how we do out here running them streets. Now also my dog is up here nice and safe. These are the modular buildings that are added in Unlock Settlement Objects. A lot of really cool stuff in there. So you add stuff like these lockers. The doors you actually have to put on separate with a place anywhere or something. Add clutter and stuff too. Getting the drop on commies. Yeah, and there basically is the whole shebang of the place. So I will actually wanted to highlight this weapon. Really cool. I wish it wasn't on Creation Club, but it is. It's the only way to get it. It's the Tunnel Snakes pack, and it adds the classic 10mm pistol in this really cool variant. And the backpack is Creation Club as well, unfortunately. Should just be free, but it's not. The little exit. I will exit from here, and then we will exit the video. Superhero landing. Nailed it. And with that, Wastelanders, another deep dive video for you guys, all done and dusted. If you guys have any questions for how I did some of the things in this build or any of the mods, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I'm also going to be trying to be a little bit more consistent with my uploads for you. That way it's not so long, like years or months between videos for you guys. I'm going to try and be a little bit more consistent with my uploads. I'm going to be doing another deep dive fairly soon into my Minutemen City. It's my most viewed video, and it's probably the video that took the longest time for me to do. I mean, shoot, how many do I have on this guy alone? Nothing too bad, just a casual 7 days and 22 minutes. Wow, yeah, these videos take a long time to do, so I'll, no promises, but that deep dive should be coming for you guys pretty soon. And with that, I will give you guys the mod listing. Peace.